Hey, it's Jeff McNichol down here at Mom's Music, 1900 Melwood Avenue. And I was just thinking, when I was a kid, the magic was at Frankfort Avenue, the Mom's Music at Frankfort Avenue. And I used to beg people to get a ride down there just to hang out with the guys and see all the cool gear. Now that I'm the owner of this store, it's like a dream come true. We're recreating the magic with the vibe that we used to have at the old store. We're carrying all the gear that you're going to possibly want. We're giving you the outstanding service and personal attention that you deserve. Yeah, so we've got the great guitar shop here. We're carrying USA Fender, USA Gibson, Paul Reed Smith, Gretsch, Jackson, Charvel, anything you could possibly want, we're going to have it for you. Mom's is and always will be Louisville's music store.
Thank you for tuning into the Metal Forge. I am Mark Jackson and I am your host. The premise of the show is pretty simple. Awesome interviews and awesome music. If you want to contact me, hit me up at metalforgeradio@gmail.com or visit the website metalforgeradio.com. And now let's get this show on the road. Hey, thank you all for tuning into the Metal Forge this week. I'm Mark Jackson and I'm your host. Hey, this week we have Midnight Spell from Miami, Florida. The South Beach is never going to get darker than this week. Fucking right. Awesome fucking dudes. Stick around. I got them on the line. But before we get into that, I want to tell you guys about the new and improved Patreon page. Over the weekend, I kind of revamped all the tiers. I kind of adjusted everything. I set up the new way of doing things on there. And we've got the Down and Dirty, the Double Down and Dirty, the Apprentice, and then the Master, which are $1, $3, $5, and $10 tiers. For the Master Metalhead, you're going to receive a hand-numbered Metal Forge membership card, and by doing that, you're going to get access to the shows 48 hours before they were actually published on Fridays, so you'll get them by Wednesday. You're also going to receive 5 entries to any contest that we do on the show. You're also going to get all the other awards that the other tiers have. Plus, you also get to submit questions to the show digitally, like audio. You can record your own audio, you can send them to me, and I will actually play your question to any person that I interview on the show. And on top of that, you're going to get your own personalized 25% off discount code for any Metal Forge merch, which, you know, we do have shirts, stickers, patches, so on and so forth. We're going to give a 25% discount on that. So it's only $10. It's at patreon.com/metalforgeradio. Give it a check out. Hey, every little bit helps. I appreciate all you guys. So, aside from that, let's talk about everything else. Last week, I asked the question, what is your most prized possession from a band? My brother from the Met family, the group And Justice for Indiana, Jason Kroll, shared a set list that's been signed from Metallica, which is totally cool. It was from the Indianapolis show in 2019. It's like, you know, dude, I'd have that professionally framed to be sitting in my fucking living room, and it'd be like, have its own light focused on it, because fucking, that shit's pretty cool to me. I love signed set lists from huge bands and stuff like that. Dieter Zimmerman, shout out to him, because he's the one who turned all of us on to Throne of Iron here on the Metal Forge, and I want to thank him for that. But he's got a signed copy of Hawkwind's Live Chronicles by Michael Moorcock, which that's totally fucking rad, because, dude, it's fucking Hawkwind. I mean, what the fuck, you know? Fucking crazy shit. Chuck Baxter is back this week with another great one. Inspiration is his most prized possession in music. And it's like, you know, that's pretty fucking heavy. Because to be able to will at that power that you have at your fingertips to be a musician, to move emotions, make people think and feel a way that reminds them of so many different things, that is sheer power. We as musicians write the soundtracks to people's lives, and that's super fucking awesome. So, this week, question, what is your best concert experience? Seriously, great concert experience. What's the best one you ever went to? I'll give you mine next week on that. Oh, shit, where am I? What am I thinking? I didn't even tell you my most prized possession from a band. Honestly, Honestly, I'm going to nerd out here for a minute. Back when the Metal Forge was on WCHQ here in Louisville, Kentucky, when it was actually a radio show, and I know y'all can listen to those in the archives, but the last episode, the last bash, where it was like the Midnight Metal Forge, where we did like a big 5-hour end of the year, end of the station bash with myself and Zach Becker of the Midnight Oil, I had a bunch of people come in. We both had a bunch of people come in. We had Ashley Vega from the Vava Vixens and Promise of Plague. We had Jet Piston from the band Rifle come in, and he performed some acoustic songs. And one of the songs that he had done was My Machine from their album The Speed of Doubt, and he had a handwritten lyric sheet of that, and he gave it to me at the end of it, and it was super cool, and it was probably one of the nicest gifts I think I've ever received from another musician. So that's probably my most prized musical possession right now, is that, because, you know, he took the time to actually handwrite all this stuff out and to perform it on this show, and it was super fucking cool. So anyways, yeah, that's my most prized musical possession. So let's thank the sponsors: Mom's Music, Maxwell's House of Music, Tattooed Charlie's, The Wrestling Steve Show, The Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. Check those guys out. They are fucking cool. You heard them on the show here a couple months ago. We also have the It's Gonna Get Weird podcast with Scott Clark and Frank Green, and Better Days Records here in Louisville, Kentucky. So go get your music gear, go get your tattoos, listen to some awesome fucking podcasts with Night Demon, It's Gonna Get Weird, and The Wrestling Steve Show, and go buy you some new fucking vinyl at Better Days Records. And also, make sure you check out all the links below to all the bands and the sponsors, because they are out there, and many of them, without having shows to play through the pandemic, have really been leaning on the support of Bandcamp and album sales. Alright, let's listen to some Midnight Spell. This is from the album Sky Destroyer, which came out back in January of this year. This is Between the Eyes. All right, now coming into the show, I have the guys from Midnight Spell in Miami. Guys, how you doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
I am fairly well. You know, we've had some really nice weather up here over the last few days, and it's not been too cold, but hey, I dig it. Who's all on the line with me really fast? Let's get some introductions here before we go crazy in this interview.
All right, well, I'm Brian. I'm the drummer and founding member.
I'm Shane Hammer. I'm the guitar player and another founding member.
Hey, what's up? It's Paolo and I'm the singer.
Being in Miami, how is the Miami metal scene these days? You don't hear much, where I'm from in Louisville, you don't hear much out of Miami. So tell me about Miami's metal.
Well, Miami is a very extreme metal-based scene. There really aren't any other bands like us around. You know, most of the bands out of Florida you hear from Tampa. You know, there's a bit of a bigger scene up there. But Miami's got a pretty good scene. But, you know, when I started going to shows around here, I found that almost every local band and every show that people really went to was death metal. And, you know, that's cool and all, but I like death metal. But I was always into, you know, the classic style of heavy metal, you know, bands like Saxon, Judas Priest, you know, a lot of new wave or British heavy metal.
Definitely.
And I always wanted to play that style, you know, and it was really difficult finding people to want to play that. And eventually I got, you know, I played in a lot of different bands over the years, and, you know, I played black metal bands, thrash metal bands, you know, and eventually one day I was like, you know what, it's about time I start, you know, my own project. And, you know, I want to play some heavy metal. And so I found Shane here, and he and I worked a long time. It was just the two of us for a while before, you know, finding the rest of the members. But eventually I got a full lineup. You know, we got Paulo on vocals, got Denver on guitar, and Cam on bass. And, you know, that's who we are today.
Definitely. And it looks like back in 2019 you released a demo called Between the Eyes. And just here a couple of months ago in January, you released the full-length Sky Destroyer.
That's correct.
Tell me about how the manufacturing of Sky Destroyer came around. You just said that it took some doing to find the key members of the group, and then what?
It definitely took a long time, and that was because, you know, it took a while to get everybody on board. It's funny because everybody in the band are people that I've already known for a long time. You know, everybody was involved in different projects and different bands around, and I wanted, you know, the best of what the South Florida scene had to offer, you know, and I knew all these other musicians. It was a while before I could get them all on board, but when it started, it was just me and Shane, aka The Hammer, on guitar, and he and I wrote a lot of songs together. That's when we wrote the demo. We had some of these songs too with a lot of the Sky Destroyer songs date back to the demo days, but we didn't want to put everything onto the demo, you know, and the demo was an introduction, you know, as demos usually are, and that was what we had at the time. And then once we got the other members of the band to come in, it became easier having, you know, 4 or 5 opinions and, you know, people contributing ideas. And, you know, what's cool about this band is everybody contributes to the writing process, which is really, really great to have. I've never really been in another band where everybody contributed as much as we all do. It makes the writing process a lot more dynamic. It makes it much faster, you know, and easier. We don't really fight a lot over the song, or, you know, where we all are kind of on the same page as to where the song should go.
Right on.
So, yeah.
Which is always interesting because it always seems like I always say it's like the rule of 2 for most bands. It always seems like there's 2 people who get together and write almost everything to a band, whether it's the vocals, the guitar, and the drums, and then they piece together and arrange everything, and anybody else comes in, they're just like, oh, I want you to play this here and this here, and you play this here.
It started that way because, you know, it was just me and Shane for a while without anybody else, you know. The demo was pretty much written that way. You know, the songs were pretty much complete before anybody else was in the band, you know, and then we kind of just started recording, and then everybody else came in and added their parts later.
Right on.
But it's definitely not like that anymore, and we're better off for it.
Which I think is one of those things to where if you can have that work for you. A lot of bands out there can't have that work for them, unfortunately. I don't know if it's necessarily, some people just aren't that good of writers, but they're amazing players. And then there's some people out there that are amazing writers and are okay at playing. So there's a lot of moving parts that go into that.
Yeah, there's all kinds of dynamics and things that make things difficult. You know?
I'll say this. This is like when we first started. Like he said, it was like I had a place in Delray, and Brian and I used to meet up like pretty frequently, and we wrote. I think one of our first songs that we actually ever really got into was Between the Eyes, and I remember Stars. Those were probably, I'd say, the earliest songs that we had, and then we had bits and pieces of other ones, and then as the band members Cam, Paolo, and Denver came into the band, it opened up a lot more, because with two people, like, because at the time I was doing a lot of the writing myself, I was hitting a lot of walls, because we were kind of trying to get it going right off the ground really fast, so it helped when we had a lot of the other people, and so the contribution, you know, like you said, like a lot of bands will have it with two people. It helped us a lot more when we got a lot of different people, because I think a lot of the songs sound pretty distinct from one another, and that's because of a lot of involvement from the other band members, you know?
Absolutely. Which I think you need that kind of diversity. I always use Metallica kind of as the measuring stick when it comes to stuff like this, but you can kind of tell Kirk's songs if it's a song that he has written and brought to the table versus something that James has written.
Right.
So
yeah, there's definitely that kind of that same dynamic that we had. The good thing about us is that each of us have this specific idea, and it's always brought to the table, and no matter what it is, in a specific riff or just something different that goes to a song, it can mix together with other things, and then we create a song mixed with other ideas, and it's actually a really cool. We don't expect that sometimes. We already have something in our minds. It's like, this is, you know, what I'm thinking, and once we're all together in the room making noise, it's all comes up together in a really cool way, and sometimes it goes in a completely different direction.
Yeah,
completely different. Yeah, it's like, you know, it's like did that just happened, and yeah, it's funny how it works sometimes, but it's cool because that's, you know, what keeps the chemistry at the band, because it's literally all five of us putting ideas together to come up with, you know, the music that we have at this moment.
Definitely. Sounds like an awesome metal brotherhood where you can have that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. We all know each other for a long, long time. Like Brian said, I mean, it was a matter of time for all of us to finally get together and do something that we all love, even though we were never able to put it out there, you know, as our own craft, which is, you know, heavy metal. You know, we loved it, but we were never able to do something together, and it's finally happening now. So, you know, we're pretty excited about it, to be honest.
Definitely. And I'm one of those people that always believes as well that you have to get from point A to point B. And if there's if there is a roadblock that happens in that way that is supposed to be there, you have to have this to get to this. I think there's a certain level of maturity that comes along with that. Not everybody started with where they're at now. They had to start somewhere.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. With the EP being released in April of 2019, had the pandemic not happened, would you have the full length right now? Or would you still be out playing stuff from the demo and then still possibly writing a full length? How would that have worked for you guys?
Well, the pandemic actually struck in the middle of the recording process for the album.
Okay.
So we had the demo released before we played our first show.
Nice. Not a lot of people can do that, but which is the way I think it should be.
Honest, I didn't necessarily intend for it to be that way, but that's what ended up happening, and I think there was a smarter move, honestly. I think more bands should consider doing that, you know?
For sure.
But, because when we played our first show, there was already, you know, hype.
Kind of a big following already.
Yeah, you know, there was already
prior to that, we already remember that when
we were just letting people know that we're in the making of something. We let everybody know that there's a band out there in South Florida that's willing to play pure heavy metal. And, you know, like Brian said in the beginning, you know, it was very fresh to hear for everybody else hearing something that's not any other genre. And then out of the blue, you know, a couple of guys that, you know, that people know about from other projects doing heavy metal. Hell yeah, I gotta hear this. Put that demo out. We need to hear it. You know, we can't wait. So yeah, we decided to come up with a strategy of doing come up with the demo and then soon releasing and doing a live show. And I mean, I'll never forget it. That show was amazing. You know, we got crazy people going crazy. We had a lot of, you know, friends, people I never met before. I don't know, it was a really cool night, right, guys? Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, when we played the first show, people were already singing along.
Yes,
which was incredible.
Yeah,
you know,
it was really cool. Yeah, I think that the demo was actually released like probably I want to say not even probably a month before the show. So by the time we had played, like I remember our friend Yasser, who's in Avernus Mortis, he came down and he was right in front of what I was playing, and he's screaming the lyrics to Between the Eyes. I'm like, holy crap, dude, you already know the song. It's like, nice.
Yeah, and when we played our first show, we played a long set. We played almost an hour. You know, we played a lot of songs that were on the album. You know, we had those songs. You know, we were working behind the scenes for a really long time before we unearthed the band. You know, we wanted to make sure we had the most professional, the most put together, you know, project before we unveiled ourselves. You know,
absolutely.
We didn't want to just, you know, come out with like 4 songs and then play our first show, you know, without any merch or, you know, no demo. No recorded material and say, okay, here's our 4-song set and 4 covers, you know. We didn't really want to do that. So, you know, that's why we did it the way we did it.
For sure. And I think it's building to a show. I've always also been an advocate of there's the music part and then there's the show part. You got to have both to make it work. And when you do it like that, you're building to a show to where people can come and watch you. You know, they've heard you. Now they've got to see it.
Yeah, you know, and that's another thing that I think a lot of bands maybe forget about these days is, you know, having this show.
Oh, I agree.
I feel like a lot of bands come out and play their songs and do the bare minimum on stage, you know. That was not something that I was gonna, you know, stand for with this project. You know, it has to be heavy metal is high energy, you know, and the sound has to be that way, and the visuals also have to be that way. You know, you have to have an interesting band to watch on stage.
Oh, very much. I agree with that because and I've always throughout the arbitrary number of any 5 dudes can get on a stage and play songs. It's got to be a special group to actually be out there and to captivate and entertain while they're doing it, whether that be through visual, whether that be through just sheer movement on stage, something. There's more to it than just playing songs on a stage.
I'd like to think we have a little bit of all of that in our live show. Right. Yeah.
All right, let's take a real quick break. We're going to come back and talk about some artwork.
Welcome to the night. You think you know Night Demon? Then the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast is for you. Step into the darkness as we peel back the curtain to give you an unprecedented, all-access look into the mind and the heart of the demon. We're talking band history, song analysis, studio anecdotes, stories from the road. It's everything a diehard Night Demon fan could want and more. This is the only place to learn the inside scoop, the deep dive trivia, the untold tales from the band members themselves and those closest to the Night Demon story. Need more? The Sacred Night Demon Crypt will be pried open to reveal demo recordings that have never before seen the light of day, all with in-depth commentary by the band and the people who were there for the writing and recording process. This is a gold mine, a treasure trove of all things Night Demon. Head over to nightdemon.net or wherever you listen to podcasts.
So I'm looking at the artwork for the Between the Eyes demo, and the logo is huge on there, and then you've got the picture. It kind of reminds me of like the Armed and Dangerous EP from Anthrax, where it's just the picture of you guys, and it's stark. It's like, this is what it is. This is what you get.
Yeah, that's as simple as it is, yeah. In a way, you know, many people can see it in different ways, and that's a really good way to look at it too. I always thought of it too. It was just, you know, it seemed like it has just a very simple thing to show. Like I said, you know, it's like a little surprise. This is who we are. And which is why we actually called it Between the Eyes. Between the Eyes, the meaning of that song, it's letting everybody know, like, you know, be ready for us. You know, this is we're coming straight to you. Yeah, and I guess you know, the artwork and the style, as simple as it is, I mean, you can still say a lot. And yeah, that was sort of like the idea in the beginning when we were trying to come up with, you know, concepts for demos and you know, for the things to show, you know.
For sure.
So yeah.
switching over to Sky Destroyer here. Came out on Iron Oxide Records here back in January, which is one of Bart Gabriel's labels, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
right.
Awesome. Metal Forge listeners out there would know Bart from other stuff like Savage Master with Skull Records and so on and so forth.
Yeah, he's done a lot of stuff.
Oh, absolutely. He does a lot of reissues for people. Like, I think he's done some Raven reissues and stuff like that. So it looks like you got CDs, cassettes, and vinyl of this.
That's true.
See,
every format.
That's super cool because, like, the cassette market obviously has come back for a lot of underground bands. The vinyl market, I've never seen any better than it is today. And I think metal music is the reason why all these other people, like other genres of music, are selling vinyl again. You know, like you go into any Walmart in America and you can find a copy of Thriller on vinyl these days. And I think it has to do with the resurgence through the metal scene.
It could be. I mean, metalheads like to collect, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I certainly have my collection, you know, of vinyl, CDs, and cassettes proudly displayed at my home, you know, on a shelf. You know, I like to look at something, you know. I'm sure you've heard the same way over from a lot of different metalheads, you know. And holding a vinyl is just amazing. You know, I love artwork a lot, so, you know, seeing it on a vinyl is different than seeing it on a CD or just a little picture on your phone when you download it.
Oh, for sure.
And it's nice to... I like to, when I find an album that I really, really like, I like to, you know, just put headphones on, turn everything else off, hold the vinyl in my hands, read along with the lyric sheet, you know, and look at the artwork, and, you know, it's a full experience.
Oh, very much. You study that thing. You study the cover.
Yeah.
You study the lyric sheets, and then you look for if there's any Easter eggs, I'm sure. Because I do the same thing, you know. I look and sit there and I say, did you see that on this cover to somebody? And they're like, no. I was like, and I point it out and I'm like, here's this. And they're like, oh, wow, I never saw that. There's
definitely been lots of experiences like that.
For sure. Speaking of the cover of Sky Destroyer, total old school as well. Definitely you could tell it was a painted cover. Who did the artwork for this?
It's a guy out of Spain, and I'm not sure.
He was recommended to us.
He was recommended to us through Bart.
To Bart, yeah. He was recommended to Bart. He had this artist had done different covers for different bands also that have worked with Bart.
He's done covers for Tigers of Pantang. I think he's done Blitzkrieg and Pestilence. And when Bart told me, I explained the concept of the cover to Bart, and he suggested this guy for the cover art. And, you know, I looked at his roster, you know, and I saw he worked with certain bands that I've grown up listening to, and I was like, yeah, that sounds like the guy for the job.
Well, it's definitely awesome because there's a lot of blue tone to it. And in the white, there's a lot of I see a lot of light green mixture into there. And the people just falling down into this chasm. And like the cars and people standing on the edge of it, and they're just like, oh shit, you know?
Right. Yeah.
It's super cool. And like I said, it's definitely something you would have, when you were a kid, you would have been flipping through the CD rack at the record store. For any of the young listeners that don't know what record stores are, they were a thing. No, I'm kidding. And this would have been something that you would have seen, and you would have picked it up immediately saying, what is this? I've got to listen to it.
Well, I mean, you know, that was definitely the intention, you know. It had to be, I was very adamant that the first album cover had to be bright, you know, explosive, and it had to be, you know, vibrant, something that's eye-catching. And, you know, even if there aren't so much record stores to flip through vinyls these days, you know, you're probably not going to find too many new fans that way. But I've seen comments online where people were scrolling through YouTube and you know, they saw the album cover on the thumbnail and they were like, that looks interesting. You know, it's the same concept. And they said they were glad they checked it out, and it was the artwork that grabbed them.
For sure.
Especially the title too, you know, with something to call Sky Destroyer. It is. I think it's a good way for it, you know, to grab anyone's, you know, attention and be like, well, what the hell is this? You know, it's a really old school feel. It's literally what it is. You know how younger metalheads back in the day, there was no internet, there was nothing. They would just see a cover. It's like, what the hell is this? I got to listen to this. And then it was definitely a metal album. In time became their favorites. So you never know.
And I just want to give a shout out. The artist's name is Roberto Todorico. Amazing artist. He did great work.
Awesome. And yeah, definitely a shout out to him for sure. You kind of mentioned a second ago about where we were talking about digging through the bins and seeing these and saying, oh my gosh, this cover's so awesome, I got to hear it. You know, I still do that to this day on the internet even. Like, yeah, there's bands out there that we all know of, that the metal community has been so far apart for so many years. Like, you had to hear from, you know, friends in other cities about certain bands and so on and so forth back in the day, that now everybody is at a fingertip away with, you know, typing in a name. And I'll still go through and, yeah, we'll see bands like Eternal Champion and Haunt, which are both insanely awesome bands. But I'm just like, holy shit, what about this? This, you know, seeing like the similar artists down below on the Bandcamp page, like with Traveler on your all's page and Smolder. It's just so cool to be able to say, holy shit, that cover looks awesome. I got to look into these guys.
We actually had a shirt design that was done by the same artist that does all the Haunt stuff.
Brewmaster, yeah. Some of the Haunt stuff, because Pitforge.
That guy's awesome.
Because Pitforge does some of his stuff as well.
Yeah.
Which Daniel's a friend of the show. Shout out to him as well, because he's super cool. Sweet. So you just released this. Assuming we go back to what is, quote, normal, I'm assuming you're going to be doing shows and stuff like that. But what in the instance of if there's still going to be restrictions and lockdown, are you currently writing anything new, or what are you doing right now?
Well, we just, right before doing this interview, we were working on some new songs.
We've been constantly writing, especially since the beginning of the year. We finally decided to just, you know, we were taking this unnecessary break. Well, I mean, mandatory because of obviously, you know, what's everything that's been going on. But we were finally, especially at the beginning of the year, we were finally able to just get together again. And now that having the album out, and I guess, for the lack of a better word, not having shows, we figure, you know, no matter what, we're going to keep busy and just continue writing, because it's pretty much what we love doing. And that's what we've been doing so far, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I can say, going back on what we were saying real quick, it's really cool because, like, in the middle of us doing this writing, obviously, because we have a lot more time now, but the thing is, this is our, you know, we're writing for our next upcoming release and everything, obviously. It's cool because now, unlike the first album, we're going into writing it with all five of us. You know what I mean? So I'm interested to see how the completed result's gonna turn out and, you know, the reaction to it and everything, because before, you know, it had been Brian and I who had been doing a lot of the writing, and then now it's going to be pretty much all five of us, and all five of us have had a lot of input so far on just the few songs we've been working on so far, you know?
For sure.
Yeah, that's pretty much what, you know, we've been doing this whole time. Yeah, we're happy with the release, but at the same time, I mean, we're not taking breaks anymore. We're just, you know, getting together as much as we can and you know, just keep playing.
We're also not one of those bands that you know, writes over the internet. You know, we're very much one of those bands that has to be in person. You know, we get the ideas flow more freely that way. It's really hard to get inspired at home for us. A lot of people these days, you know, have bandmates all over the world, and they just send a riff to, you know, they record a riff and then send it over email to, you know, bumfuck Egypt. And
Right.
And that's how they write their album. And, you know, it works for some people. It's great. But, you know, that's just not how I've ever really worked. And that's not how I don't think any of us work. You know, we're old school that way.
No, I agree 100% on that, because in my music and with my band and everything, I'm the exact same way. We're all rooted here in the Louisville area, and we have to have practice or, you know, shit just doesn't get done at all. And it's just like, we've had excessive time off from due to injury and stuff, where I could have written, but no, it just doesn't come to me. I think being interactive with people, interactive creativity, I guess is what you would call it, where you have to have somebody else out there to be like, hey, you know, that kind of sounded cool. What was that thing you were just doing? And then you do it again, and then you build from that, which is super fucking cool. Because for the people that can work with, where you can write, and I have tons of friends who do this. You know, they have members in Texas and California and Indiana, Canada. For the people that can make that work and can accomplish things like that, that is super fucking awesome, and kudos to you for being able to do it. I wish I could sometimes, but I need the other people there just as much. One last thing before we shift gears here into some general profile questions. With not being able to play shows, and this trend kind of became a thing for a couple of months, and then it all of a sudden disappeared again, and you don't really see it. But what in the regard of streaming shows? Would you all ever do something like that?
I don't really think so. I would want it to be a full production, if anything, and it would take so much, and I don't know. It would be really hard to, I wouldn't feel right maybe about charging for it, and I'm just not a big fan of them personally. You know, if I see a band is doing a streaming show, it doesn't do a lot for me. It's not the same as, you know, being in a club and really feeling it. And you know, another thing is, like, we just put out the first album, you know, and I feel like if we were to do that, there would be 2 months later a whole nother set of soundboard audio recordings of all those songs, you know, and I don't know. It just seems like not something that I'm too interested in doing.
Understandable.
For right now.
No, understandable.
We are in a moment when, you know, with the album out, what band doesn't want to do a huge CD release party for that, right? That would be the dream. It's tough to see at this point because, you know, I have seen some of bands that we know, and, you know, even bigger bands that they've been doing that nowadays. And I don't know if one day if we go into that direction, but right now I just don't feel it. I don't know, as a front man or just you know, us as a band, how are we gonna have that connection and with the crowd, you know, with the people? A big part of, you know, what we do and the way we do it is audience interaction and definitely feeding off the energy of the crowd. I don't feel it would translate in an empty room very well. Yeah, it might be a little bit of a bad representation of, you know, who we are. And you know, I wouldn't want to just do it from a rehearsal spot either. I would want to be on a stage. I want a light show. Exactly. We need, you know, a fog machine. It would need all the elements.
But a live show with no people, basically.
Yeah.
But it's a tough question now because it's understandable that, you know, anybody can ask a band that because of, you know, what's happening right now in the world. So this is how we feel right now about it. We don't know what the future may bring regarding that. If we can, you know, be prepared for something like that. It's I don't know. It's a bit of a tough answer for me, at least.
I'll say that you know, it'll make it all that much more special when we finally can take the stage again.
Oh, for sure. It almost would, like, to me, when I see bands do that, it kind of reminds me of that time in the early to mid 90s when every music video that came out was like a band in a warehouse. Where there's just there's a drummer and there's no cabinets and they're just all standing in a circle playing, and it's just like, what?
we just put out a music video for Midnight Ride off the album, and we did it in like an abandoned warehouse. But you know what? I was very adamant. I said, I don't want an empty warehouse. I want Marshall full stack in there. Yeah. You know?
Oh, for sure.
I remember that. It was a little. We had to get the full stacks. We had the drum. It was cool. It almost looked like we were at a live gig. Honestly, looking back, like when you were there, it didn't feel like it. It looked a little weird, but like when you see the video, it looked like it was almost like a show.
There were lights too. You know,
it was a full thing.
Yeah, we're not going to just play in an empty warehouse. That's
right.
Not cool. Yeah.
All right, sit back, get yourself a drink. We're going to come back with more Midnight Spell here at the Metal Forge.
Hi, this is Frank Green from the It's Gonna Get Weird podcast, a podcast I host with Scott Clark. You're going to get everything you need on the podcast. Lots of laughs, lots of music, some sports, and maybe some inappropriate shit. Usually that's Scott's forte. Check it out. It's going to get weird. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, and everywhere you get your podcasts online. It's going to get weird.
Hey, what if you don't get out of here and make it fast? I'm going to put my foot right in your ass. Oh!
Hey, it's Mark Maxwell at Maxwell's House of Music. Listen, all this stuff is now available to purchase on our website. Check it out at maxwellshouseofmusic.com.
We carry all the top brands, like Fender.
We got Gibson.
We also have basses.
We've got ukuleles.
We
got drums.
We've got sound gear.
We've got keyboards.
Now I'm going to shift some gears here. We're going to get into some general profile questions about you as people because I like to know what make people tick. I like to hear their unsavory music opinions on certain things. Not coming from
All right.
I think we have a lot of opinions.
Not right.
We're opinionated.
Definitely, and most people are in general, but metalheads seem to be, interestingly enough, just crazy about things.
We're pretty crazy guys. We have our moments.
Who do you wish you never saw live?
Oh, we never saw live?
They just didn't do it for
Like you regret seeing?
Yeah.
I might say Napalm Death.
Ooh.
I might say Samael.
For me, I would probably have to say Acheron if I had to pick.
Interesting.
Yeah, I saw Samael in that era when they went completely electronic, and I was completely disappointed of that.
Oh, I might also say Coroner.
Coroner, wow.
They had a guy with a laptop on stage.
Oof.
And I'm like, that's not the Coroner I remember.
Right, that's not punishment for decadence or anything.
He was playing samples, and it just was not what I wanted to see.
What was your favorite TV show growing up?
Well, I got several, but I mean, TV show like live TV or cartoons or
anything.
Anything.
Yep.
Well, I'm a big fan of the old '80s cartoons, so I like Macross, Robotech. I love that, spaceships and all.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I would say The Simpsons. I still love The Simpsons.
Yeah,
still going strong.
Yeah, he's right.
That's definitely by far my favorite show ever. Still is, always will be.
I'd probably say Ren and Stimpy. I miss Ren and Stimpy. I used to have the orange VHS. I remember that. That was like so cool. That was way back. That was like 95, 96, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
If you followed your dreams as a child, what would you be doing right now?
I would be a philosophy professor. I went to college. I studied philosophy and theology for a short time. I always wanted to be a teacher, and specifically as a teenager, I wanted to be like a philosophy professor. Quite honestly, if I had to say, that would be my dream.
Right on.
I guess I could say I'm living it. You know, I always wanted to play drums. I was, growing up, especially when I got into high school and started playing in bands, I was like, I'm going to be a drummer. I'm going to play in bands. I want to tour, and that's what I'm doing now. I'm a full-time musician. I play with a lot of different bands, I've played with a band called Hellwitch. I play drums for Yngwie Malmsteen, and I've gotten to tour the world.
Wow.
Of course, Midnight Spell is my own, creation, and that's where I'm able to express myself above anything else. But, no, touring and recording and playing drums, that's my dream, and that's what I'm doing. I wouldn't want to do anything else.
For sure.
I guess I can share the same dream in a way. I always love interacting with people. I always love, any form of art. So, to be able to finally, let the world know that, I was able to sing and to be able to hit notes. And it was just like, for me, it was my way to communicate with people, especially people that throughout the world. So being a singer is a big deal for me. It always was. And I hope it continues to be, because it is a goal. So it is part of the dream, So, it was one of my dreams since I was a kid. And it's still the dream.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, that's what I'm into.
It's being a singer. It's like that time, you found your voice.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah. Absolutely.
Yes.
What new skill are you currently learning?
The pandemic gave quite a bit of free time, When the pandemic hit, I had like 2 European tours lined up with 2 different bands, that I was going to be playing drums for, and it was all lost. I ended up just sitting at home for a while, and I'm like, I'd be stupid if I didn't utilize this time to learn something new. And I always wanted to play guitar, if nothing else, just for writing purposes, because I was always speaking riffs, to the Hammer over here, and I was like, what if I could play those riffs myself? So past year I've been learning guitar. I've come way farther than I ever thought I would with it. And even just like recently I figured out how to record guitar. Now I'm teaching myself to record and mix. So yeah, it's been pretty productive.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, well, I kept because I have to stop with Midnight Spell. Through that, I have to stop also with my other projects, as a singer. So I came up with this whole idea of songwriting. I don't. Unfortunately, I'm not as skilled at as a guitar player, to do it to my band. But yeah, I like to just, come up with riffs and ideas and whatever, whatever I have in my head, I will, tell the guys and just put to make it work on it right away. So yeah, it was that. And well, daily life, sometimes, bills won't pay themselves. So yeah, I had to take care of that too. But, from time to time, and, even though when I will always get myself sometimes to sing a little, just warm ups here and there. And, even though I like to, if I do, warm ups for singing, I like to do it in the band while rehearsing, not just in the bathroom or something like that. It's not really my thing. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what I've been doing this whole time. Just trying to keep the voice going and yeah, the flow of the band, somehow.
For sure. What song or band do you never want to hear again?
Oh, I could say right off rip, I do not like Nirvana. Shane Hammer on the record. I never liked Nirvana. I don't like anything affiliated with it. I hate that band. I wish it never existed.
So does that mean you don't like the Foo Fighters also?
Yeah, or Dave Grohl. Personally, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. I never liked anything from that movement.
Understandable.
If I had to pick anything, that's the number one thing.
Definitely.
I would agree with that. But I will also say I could go the rest of my life without hearing "You Shook Me All Night Long" from AC/DC again.
Yes.
Like, that song is like nails on a chalkboard for me at this point. Great album. Like, just play something else from it.
Yeah.
The same can be said for fucking Crazy Train, every hit.
Top 40.
Every top 40 rock hit,
There's so many good songs that these bands made, but, they only play, 2 of them.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
Very, very frustrating.
Yeah.
So, yeah, any of those top 20, top 30 rock hits.
Absolutely.
Well, okay, yeah. No. As for me, I'm gonna have to go on the Nirvana hating wagon too. Never really did much for me.
Midnight Smell is anti-Nirvana.
Yeah. No, more power to the fan base. Absolutely. I know a lot of their people that love them. So that's that's awesome.
We hate bands, not fans.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's that, and I don't know. Besides that, I mean, there are some occasions when I can get cranky and I name bands, but it's not like I really hate them. Just I guess I just get cranky. I mean, they know I can get cranky sometimes. Everybody else in the band can see that. But yeah, definitely that. And some depressive black metal can shut the fuck up sometimes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What album can you put on and listen to front to back?
Oh man, there's a lot of them.
We're trying to see what to go first because we gotta take a second.
I would say the self-titled Torch album from 1984 from Sweden.
Nice.
I could always listen to that. Griffin, Flight of the Griffin is another one I could listen to front to back.
Yeah, there's so many to mention, but I can easily mention Melissa from Merciful Fate. Definitely British Steel. Yeah, those are just once it's there, you just don't take it out. I mean, those 2 albums are important. And I don't know.
For me, I would say Iron Maiden, Somewhere in Time. That album I have listened to front to back several times, and I never get tired of it. I'd say Motorhead, Ace of Spades, and then I'd say tied with the Maiden one is probably Whitesnake 87. Man, I tell you what, the band knows so much how much I love that album. I love that album with John Sykes and everything.
Definitely.
I've listened to that album nonstop for probably the past year.
Wow. That's cool. I'm always one that, I don't mind the hits, like the Crazy Train and stuff like that, but I much prefer, the B-side tracks or the deep cuts, as people call them. Revelation Mother Earth and how it flows directly into Steal Away the Night. Stuff like that you don't hear it on any fucking radio these days because there's no new rock stations anywhere. If you don't listen to entire albums, then you don't hear that stuff. And at that point, what's the point, I guess, of it?
Absolutely.
What band do you like that none of your friends like?
Def Leppard. I love Def Leppard. Specifically Hysteria and Adrenaline. No, none of my friends like that.
No, I would like to go on record and say I worship Def Leppard, but nothing after Pyromania for me. Thank you.
I'm a big fan of those 2 albums when they were 8 arms. They're 8 arms or 10 arms? 10 arms. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Back when they were 10 arms. Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know.
I'm a huge fan of War, and I've had a lot of people tell me that it's all a stage show and the visuals and their music is not that good. People just go to, get the blood spewed on them and everything. But I don't know, man. I love a lot of stuff they put out. I think they're one of the most diverse bands ever, and just awesome all around.
I agree with you. And I think that's a lot of people's unpopular music opinion on GWAR. They're pretty talented people, regardless of, the musicality, when it comes down to it. Because Dave Brockie had an idea. I read this in an interview one time, that he had the idea of making a metal version of Kiss, essentially. That they put everybody as a character in the band, because as people wanted to either quit playing or they had to fire people and fans getting bummed out, well, it's not the original lineup. Well, technically, it is the original lineup, because they're all just characters.
Yeah.
Anybody could step into the role and play the role.
Yeah.
So that's what he envisioned GWAR to be, was a multi-generational band that could just keep going and going and going. And obviously with, him passing away, it's still going today.
That's true. I've seen the new lineup a couple times with the new singer.
Right. And it's one of those things where they're fulfilling his wish at that point.
No, I support GWAR going forward.
What is something you've always wanted to do, but you're not coordinated enough to do?
Oh, man.
I don't know, about playing guitar. That's definitely one of them, especially now. When we're writing, I'm like, damn it, I want to put some more of mine.
Yeah, I've been trying to get Paolo to learn guitar, man. So,
Because the ideas are there, but yeah, a little more guitar skills will hold me out. I don't want to be...
skills are on point, though.
Yeah, those are. Yeah. Yeah, that's the
Coordination. I mean, I'm a drummer. I feel like that's
You're
all
pretty
coordination.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know, man. I probably would be a very good hiker, I mean, mountain climbing and all that. I'm probably not coordinated enough to do that.
Right there.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd say rock climbing, that'd be pretty hard. I remember anytime I think of rock climbing, I think of Seinfeld when Kramer got stuck on the rock.
Right there.
Yeah,
that's my thing, too. You totally said my answer.
I would say mountain climbing and hiking.
Yep. I feel
There's
like...
also not many Mount Florida to hike.
Yeah,
right. And hiking down there, it's a really, anywhere it's an at your own risk thing, but being in Florida, it's a really at your own risk thing, because you've got alligators and shit.
Yeah.
the only thing you
Hiking
through the Everglades.
Yeah, that's a new one.
That's a new. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That is a track.
Definitely.
Hiking through the Everglades. That's the title track of the next album.
You heard it here
Yes.
first.
No, that's my thing too. Is like, I feel like when I am like enamored by like, oh, I want to go hiking, and then it's like as I get out into the woods and I'm doing it, I feel like I have two left feet.
Yeah.
So, definitely. All right, we're going to take one last break here. Then we're going to come back. We're going to finish this up, and then we're going to listen to some awesome fucking music from Midnight Spell. Maybe we might go hiking in the Everglades and finding some gators and shit.
Hey guys, Wrestling Steve of the Wrestling Steve Show here. So if you're currently listening to the Metal Forge with Mark Jackson, then you understand that Mark Jackson has a pretty discerning taste when it comes to music as a whole. You'll also understand that he has a discerning taste for professional wrestling, just like me. My show is called The Wrestling Steve Show. I talk about modern and classic pro wrestling in a completely unbiased, unfiltered way. Be sure to check me out on all available podcasting platforms. That is The Wrestling Steve Show. And I am the host, Wrestling Steve. Just remember, like Confucius said, man who goes through turnstile in Thailand is going to Bangkok. Pro wrestling.
Hey, are y'all in a band? Do you need merch for shows? By now I'm sure you've seen all the Metal Forge patches that are available, along with many more. Well, the printer I use for those is UKR Patcher. Check them out on Facebook and Etsy. They do awesome custom work and for extremely affordable prices for any band budget. Check them out, UKR Patcher on Facebook and Etsy. Got a few more here. What's your biggest pet peeve?
What would that be for you?
Oh, I'd say people. I see a lot of shirts on sale at like retail stores that are like of like old like hair bands or like big four thrash bands or something, and then you see people wearing it. You're like, oh, whose shirt? What song you like? They're like, dude, I don't even know what you're talking about. I'm like, bro, you're wearing a band shirt right now.
Right.
Like people wearing band shirts of bands they don't know. I'd say if I had to think, that'd probably be my one and only real pet peeve. It's more mental. I don't say anything. I just think about it.
I would say
you roll your eyes, don't you? You're like, oh.
Right.
when you listen to a band on a record and the snare is not in tune, and every time they hit it, it sounds like a slightly different note. That drives Zane has ruined some records for me that I have great songs, but like I can't listen to it, especially as a drummer.
Definitely.
I mean, I'm not that picky about many things. I mean, well, sounds on records, if we're going to bring that, that can be a pet peeve of mine. You're going to have to overanalyze whatever sounds good or doesn't. So, I can get irritated when the production is not what I want. It doesn't have to be a clean thing, but it has to be like the right thing for whatever style that I like. And if there's not the right production, I'm going to get a little like, okay, this is killing me. But it's not a big deal. I mean, I'll survive. Yeah.
Right on. Who outside of the band do you lean on for your objective opinion?
I would say my best friend Kathy, who I sometimes call the fifth member of the band. I run a lot of things by her for honest opinion.
I'd say my wife, Sam, for sure. I would just go to, close friends, friends that are also in bands. Some of them are actually a little more experienced and they have some more years in the business. I ask for either advice or just opinions, how can this work or not? And I don't know. I like to, keep the right people close to me somehow. And I'm being very fortunate that if I ever need some sort of input or advice regarding, what I'm doing here and pretty much anything, I can count on like what I'm happy to say, friends. Yeah. And family, of course.
Definitely.
I just realized I said the fifth member. I meant the sixth member.
Right.
There's 5 members on stage with it.
Definitely.
You need her to help you out.
Sixth member.
Yeah, if I only had run that by her first.
Right. She would have corrected you and said, hey, sixth.
Yeah.
What is your most unpopular music opinion?
I don't even know if my band knows this. I don't like Manowar at all. I can't stand them.
I did not know that.
I personally don't like that band.
That was the first time we heard that, and we're gonna have a little talk about that later.
That's probably honestly really. I'm pretty easygoing. For that band, I don't know, man. It just doesn't do anything for me. I'd say it's probably my only real, edgy opinion.
Right on.
How about you?
I would say I don't really like a lot, like the majority of death metal. A lot of it ends up just sounding the same to me, especially listening to an album like, not Slam specifically, but I just have a really hard time finding death metal that I like, that I feel stands out from the rest, especially new bands. When it comes to death metal, like I like the classic, like Morbid Angel and early Deicide. Death is, I think, the only band I can really listen to a full discography from. When it comes to a lot of classic death metal bands, I only like the first 1 or 2 records.
Right,
That's my unpopular one.
I would say that, and I think this is not new to the guys here, but I'm not very fond of the second wave of black metal. In other words, Norwegian black metal. I can respect Mayhem for what they did in the very beginning, which is actually I would call them first wave. But no, it doesn't do much for me. I don't know. I know it's praised by a lot of people, and I guess that's my unpopular opinion. Yeah, just not a big fan. And the way it became now, the way it is now, it's a bit of a joke now, and it's disappointing because it's music with an attitude. It's like just like heavy metal is, but it's in a whole different way that it became I don't know, pretty laughable to me, and it's a shame. But yeah, but that's how I feel, and I know many people will still love it, so my opinion doesn't really count. But yeah, that's my opinion regarding that.
I get what you're both saying about like the death metal thing, and especially with the death metal, because Florida had such a prominent scene of it.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's especially an unpopular opinion where we're from.
Right. I totally get what you're saying though, and there is a lot of once you've heard some, you've heard a lot of, and it does take and it does take a lot to stand out in that scene as well as it does in a lot of other stuff as well though. Again, like with the second wave of black metal and stuff, agreed to that too, because it does take a lot to stand out in that scene these days.
Right? Yeah, but somehow it's very loved by many, so what do we know, huh?
Well, for sure. I mean, like I said, and it's all opinion, so that's what matters.
It's all opinion. Yeah, it's all opinion.
We're not
good. You like it, you don't like it.
It's all opinions, but we do have to talk to Hammer later on after this conversation is over, so due to the situation regarding Manowar.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have to reprimand him for that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right, I've got one more question, but before we get into it, do you have any shout-outs you want to give to anybody?
I'll give a shout out to Bart Gabriel for doing an absolutely amazing job.
I'll say the band does that.
Yeah, the whole band was.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah,
I was gonna say
Midnight Spell would like to give a shout out to Bart Gabriel. He did an amazing job with putting out our first record. We're thankful for him and everything Iron Oxide Records has done. Not so much shout out, but I'd like to say that Sky Destroyer is available everywhere on CD. There's more CDs coming. The first pressing is actually sold out, so there's going to be more CDs coming within the next month, and it's on streaming services everywhere: iTunes, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. Check it out and support metal.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a big shout out to Bart and, everybody that helped us during a tough year like 2020 to come up with what we have, which is Sky Destroyer. And also very, very, very important, a big shout out to everybody who has listened to the record, who simply just, finds us on YouTube or, has the ability to purchase the vinyl, cassette, CDs, whatever. We are really thankful for that. And remember, in a way, like we said, just like how we do it live, it has to be a closure to everybody on while we're on stage. And it's just the same vibe when you hear our record, because that's exactly what that we want you to do if you really like what we do. So yeah, to keep headbanging till death. It's the way to do it.
Absolutely. Yes. Hell yeah. And as always, there will be links listed below so you can check out all the official Midnight Spell places: Facebook, Instagram, Bandcamp, Iron Oxide Records. Go on, buy some merch, buy some albums. Support these guys in any way you can because they're fucking awesome. So, final question. What album changed your life?
I would say Enforcer's Death by Fire. That was my introduction, I think, to the new wave of traditional heavy metal scene. I had been trying to do what I'm doing with Midnight Spell now for many years, but at some point I just didn't really think it was possible in the modern day. And then I heard that and I discovered and, later checked out the rest of their albums and saw them live. And absolutely, as a very impressionable 17 or 18-year-old, that absolutely changed my life and my outlook on how I do what I do.
I definitely had to say Nuns Have No Fun EP. To be able to hear a very young King Diamond screaming this high-pitched screams and just the artistry and the lyrics and everything about it. When you're like 14, 15 years old and, that whole, you're in the middle of listening to that record, you're somewhere else, man. Yeah, it's like, it's unbelievable. And ever since then, I figured, I want to scream like that. I want to do what he does. And like him and like many other people, like, everybody else that has become a part of my influence, I owe a lot. But it's definitely that record that made it possible, not just for his voice, but just, the music written there. And it's just, I don't know, they were hungry for the game, and it made me feel that same way. So, yeah, it definitely changed me.
For me, I would have to say when I was like 14 or 15, I remember AC/DC Back in Black. That album had a really, really big impression on me. I played that CD to death. I don't listen to it much really anymore, but I remember the impact it had on me. It really inspired me to really try to kind of pick up like lead guitar. And as a musician, I would say that album really was really inspirational to me, because I had never really heard anything like that. And I thought it just blew me away.
Definitely. Such a wide array of influential albums that changed people's lives, I think.
Right. Oh, I would agree with that.
Super cool. Guys, thank you so much for coming on the show this week. I absolutely appreciate it and am looking forward to loosened restrictions and hopefully a tour coming up. I definitely want to see you guys perform live. I definitely want to, have you guys come through the Louisville area, because you have my ticket money right now.
Well, we hope to get out there when we can. We really do.
For sure. And off of Sky Destroyer, what do you guys want to play out today?
How about title track, Sky Destroyer?
Yeah, that sounds good. Go ahead.
You heard these guys. This is the title track from the new Midnight Spell album. Again, links below. Grab it. Get your copy today. This is Sky Destroyer.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Hey everybody, thank you for tuning into the Metal Forge this week. I really appreciate every last one of you that listens. But before I go any further, I do want to tell you that we do have a Patreon page here. And there's 3 tiers. There's the Down and Dirty $1 tier. It's just $1. Hey, you're not going to miss $1. Nobody does. Then there's the $5 Showstoppers tier, which you get a patch, stickers, whatever we have that's in that price range. And then there's the $20 a month Master, where you can get a t-shirt, any size, any color of the Metal Forge logo. Fuck yeah, that's awesome stuff. Oh, and by the way, if you donate on there, guess what? You get the show 2 days in advance from everybody else. Thank you all so much. It's patreon.com/metalforgeradio. Check it out and donate today. I love you guys. Thank you.
Since 1973, Tattoo Charlie's has been an established body modification studio in Kentucky, featuring world-renowned artists and piercers, currently with locations on Preston Highway and in Lexington, a staple point in the tattoo community. Learn more at TattooCharlies.com. Set up your appointment today at 7904 Preston Highway. Our tattoos are done while you wait.